Welcome back, listeners. We're diving deep today into the world of a truly fascinating character, Luna Lovegood from the Harry Potter series.
Hmm.
She's just so wonderfully quirky, and her unwavering individuality has captivated fans, I think, for years. And I'm so excited to break down her character today with our expert. Ready to get a little loony?
Let's dive right in. I agree, Luna. She seems straightforward at first, but she is a fascinating character. The more you kind of look at her, the more fascinating she becomes. And I think a big part of what makes her so unique is her upbringing, particularly the role of her father, Xenophilius Lovegood, in shaping her unique perspective.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, her father, he's quite a character himself.
Absolutely.
We know he's the editor of the Quibbler,
Yeah.
that wonderfully eccentric, I mean, shall we say creative, wizarding magazine full of all those wild theories.
Absolutely. I mean, just imagine growing up surrounded by Raxpert theories and Crumplehorn Snorkack hunts. It's no wonder that Luna developed such a wonderfully open mind. You know, she grew up in a world where it wasn't just that the impossible was possible, but it was almost expected.
That's such a great point. So it's like instead of trying to fit in
Mm-hmm.
to a conventional mold,
Mm.
her father really encouraged her to embrace the unusual. And I wonder if that nurturing environment maybe even played a role in her resilience,
Oh, yeah.
especially given the fact that she lost her mother at a young age.
Absolutely, yeah. It's hard to overstate
Yeah.
the impact of losing a parent at such a young age. You know, it can really affect a child's development. And yet, Luna, she doesn't become withdrawn or bitter. Instead, she emerges with this really incredible strength and optimism. And I think you're right to point to her father's acceptance of the unconventional, as maybe, providing a framework for her to process not only grief, but also uncertainty.
Yeah, it's like he equipped her with a different set of lenses to view the world, one where anything is possible, even finding strength in the face of loss. But but speaking of contrasting perspectives, I think it's impossible to talk about Luna without also talking about Hermione Granger. They're kind of like two sides of the same magical coin, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It's a brilliant pairing because you have Hermione with her, emphasis on logic and rule following. She embodies a very particular, a very structured approach to knowledge, whereas Luna is much more guided by intuition and a willingness to believe in things that maybe she can't see or fully explain.
Is it that classic head versus heart dynamic?
Yeah.
But in the best way possible. I mean,
Yeah.
think about how often Luna's unique perspective
Yeah.
challenges Hermione's assumptions.
Absolutely. I mean, a perfect example of this is in Order of the Phoenix. During one of the
Right.
Dumbledore's army meetings, Hermione gets quite frustrated with Luna because Luna believes in the existence of Raxperts, those invisible creatures that make your brain go fuzzy. Oh, I love that scene. It's such a perfect encapsulation of their dynamic because you have Hermione, ever the skeptic. She's just completely exasperated
Yeah.
by Luna's seemingly unfounded belief.
Exactly. And yet Luna, in her own very calm, unwavering way, simply says, well, I thought I felt one, zooming around in here.
Yeah.
And it's such a small moment, but it's so telling because it shows how Luna's perspective really forces Hermione to confront the limits of her own understanding of how
Yeah.
much she knows.
And I think what's so interesting is that Luna's belief in the unseen isn't just about these
Yeah.
whimsical creatures, right? It's about her empathy too. She just sees the world differently, and it allows her to connect with others on a much deeper level, I think, than a lot of the other characters.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And the best example of that is in Half-Blood Prince, when Harry's
Oh,
just
yeah.
reeling from the death of Sirius Black, and everyone's trying to comfort him with
Yeah.
words. But Luna just sits with him, and she acknowledges his pain without trying to fix it. That scene, it always gets me.
Yeah.
Because it's so quiet and understated, yet it speaks volumes about Luna's emotional intelligence. She understands that sometimes. The best way to support someone is just to be present with them in their pain. And that's such a powerful contrast to Hermione, who often really struggles to understand emotions that can't be, neatly categorized or explained.
Right, and it's not just humans either. This empathy that Luna has extends to other creatures. Think about how she connects with the Thestrals, which most people find frightening, but Luna she sees their beauty and she understands their sadness, and she doesn't judge them based on appearances or conventional wisdom.
So in a way, she's like a champion for the misunderstood,
Mm-hmm.
both in the wizarding world and in our own world. And it makes me wonder, how did J.K. Rowling How did she envision this character? Where did the inspiration for Luna Lovegood come from?
Well, Rowling has said that Luna was actually inspired by a friend of hers who
Yeah.
simply believed in all sorts of things. And so it seems like she saw the strength and the beauty in her friend's unconventional thinking and kind of translated that into this wonderfully complex character.
It's like she took that unique way of seeing the world and just sprinkled it into the Harry Potter universe, which leads us to the overwhelming fan love for Luna. Why do you think she resonates so deeply with readers?
I think there are a few reasons for that. One is that Luna really embodies the idea that strength isn't just about physical prowess or intellectual brilliance. It's about kindness. It's about open-mindedness, and most importantly, it's about the courage to be your authentic self, even when the world is telling you to be different.
She's like a walking, talking reminder to embrace our quirks and celebrate our individuality, and in a world that often pressures us to conform. It's a really powerful message. But it's not just about self-acceptance, is it?
Not at all. It's also about challenging ourselves to look beyond superficial judgments and to really see the inherent worth in everyone, regardless of how different they may seem.
She's like a beacon of acceptance,
Ah.
shining a light
Mm-hmm.
on the beauty of diversity
Hmm.
and reminding us to embrace the unique perspectives that each individual brings to the table.
And that makes me think about how other characters in the Harry Potter universe, how they perceive Luna, because she certainly makes an impression, whether they're on the side of good or, well, not so good.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
And I've talked about Hermione, but I'm so curious to unpack how other characters, both heroes and villains, react to Luna's presence and how that shapes their own journeys. But I think it's time for a quick break. We'll be right back with more on Luna Lovegood and her impact on the wizarding world.
Yeah, it really is fascinating to think about how Luna impacts the people around her. She's almost like a litmus test.
Right.
Tolerance and open-mindedness. And I think a great place to start is with Harry. You know, initially he's a little bewildered by her.
Oh, totally. I mean, their first encounter on the Hogwarts Express, Luna's reading the Quibbler upside down and talking about rack spurts. Harry's probably thinking, what is going on with this girl?
Exactly. But as they spend more time together, especially in Dumbledore's army, Harry really starts to see past Luna's eccentricities. And he begins to appreciate her unique wisdom. And I think he realizes that her seemingly odd perspective often reveals truths that others they miss.
It's like her unconventional thinking becomes an asset, like a secret weapon almost. Think about the battle in the Department of Mysteries in Order of the Phoenix. Luna's belief in the Thestrals, those creatures that can only be seen by people who have witnessed death, it turns out to be crucial.
Absolutely. It's her knowledge of the Thestrals that allows them to fly to the Ministry of Magic, which is, something that the others wouldn't have even thought of. It's a great example of how Luna's perspective, while it seems outlandish at first, can actually be incredibly valuable.
It really flips the script on what we typically think of as useful knowledge, doesn't it? It shows that sometimes embracing the unconventional can lead to unexpected solutions. But it's not just Harry who was impacted by Luna. What about the villains? Like Voldemort and the Death Eaters. How do they perceive her?
That is a really interesting question. I mean, you'd think they would just dismiss her as an oddity, but there's this subtle tension there because Luna represents everything that they despise. She represents individuality, free thinking, a refusal to conform. Her very existence is a challenge to their ideology of control and uniformity.
She's like this tiny crack in their carefully constructed facade
Yeah.
of power. They can make fun of her beliefs. They can call her loony, but they can't completely erase her
In
intents.
fact, and it's her unwavering self-assurance that really gets under their skin. Think about how she decorates her dormitory room with those portraits of Harry, Ron, Hermione, Ginny, and Neville, connected by chains with these golden words like friendship and loyalty.
It's such a powerful visual, and especially when you consider the climate of fear
Yeah.
and oppression that Voldemort's regime is trying to impose.
Exactly. I mean, Luna she refuses to be cowed by their intimidation tactics. She clings to her values, her friendships, and her belief in a better world, even in the darkest of times.
It makes me think about how Luna really explodes this traditional idea of heroism. She's not the one leading the charge in a duel or casting powerful spells, but her courage is undeniable.
That's a great point. Luna's heroism is quiet and subtle, but it's incredibly powerful. It's there, and her unwavering support of her friends, her willingness to stand up for what she believes in, and her just unwavering kindness, even when she's facing adversity.
It's like she's reminding us that true strength doesn't always have to be a really outward display of power. Sometimes it's about inner resilience,
Yeah.
the unwavering belief in yourself and your values that allows you to keep going even when things are tough.
And she does it all with this air of acceptance and serenity. She's not trying to change the world to fit her perspective. She's just navigating it with grace and compassion and kind of inviting others to join her along the way.
Which brings us back to this question of why Luna resonates so much with readers. And I think it's because in a world that often feels chaotic
Hmm.
and overwhelming, she offers us a sense of peace and possibility.
I couldn't agree more. I think Luna shows us that it's okay to be different, to think outside the box, and to really embrace the things that make us unique. And by doing so, she inspires us to find our own inner strength and to approach the world with a little bit more kindness, curiosity, and open-mindedness.
Yeah, it's like she's giving us permission to let our own freak flags fly, so to speak,
Yeah.
and to find joy and connection in the things that make us, well, us.
Absolutely. And that's a really powerful message, especially for young readers who are still trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in. Luna reminds them that it's okay to be different, to embrace their quirks, and to never apologize for being their authentic selves.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. But we haven't really talked much about Luna's role in Dumbledore's army. She's a very dedicated member. She's consistently there for the meetings, and she fights alongside her friends. What do you make of her commitment to the cause, especially when you consider her often kind of detached demeanor?
It's a good point, and I think it speaks to a deeper layer of her character. Luna may seem dreamy and aloof at times, but she's also fiercely loyal and courageous. I mean, remember, she doesn't hesitate to stand up to bullies like Draco Malfoy, or to risk her own safety, to fight Death Eaters alongside her friends.
It's like she's living proof that you don't have to be loud or aggressive to be brave.
Yeah.
Her courage is quiet, but it's unwavering, and it's rooted in her belief
Yeah.
in justice and her loyalty to the people she cares about.
Exactly. And that kind of understated courage is perhaps even more remarkable because it's not driven by a need for recognition or glory. It just stems from this deep-seated sense of what's right and a willingness to act on those convictions even when it's difficult or dangerous.
It challenges our preconceived notions about what a hero looks like, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Luna proves that heroism can be found in the most unexpected places, often disguised as quiet determination and unwavering loyalty.
And that's such a valuable lesson for all of us. It reminds us that we don't have to be powerful wizards or witches to make a difference in the world. We can be heroes in our own right by simply standing up for what we believe in, supporting the people we love, and approaching the world with a little bit more kindness and understanding. It's like Luna's this living, breathing embodiment of the idea that true strength comes from within. It's about having the courage to be yourself, to embrace your unique perspective, and to never let go of your belief in the power of good, even when the world feels dark and uncertain.
Beautifully put. And I think on that note, it's probably time for us to move on to our final thoughts on Luna Lovegood. But first, we got to gather our Raxperts, I think.
Yeah.
And make sure our Spectre specs are properly adjusted. We'll be right back. To wrap up this deep dive into one of the most fascinating characters in the Harry Potter universe. Okay, we are back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into the world of Luna Lovegood. And as we've been talking about her, I keep coming back to this idea of Luna as a symbol. I don't know what you think she represents.
Within the Larka
Narrative of the Harry Potter series.
Ooh, that's a really great question. And I think her symbolism is really multi-layered. On the one hand, she embodies this idea of individuality and nonconformity.
Right.
I mean, in a world where everyone is expected to fit into these very specific roles, Luna is just marching to the beat of her own magical drum.
And she does it with such grace and self-assurance. It's like she's saying, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And you know what? People do. They take it, both within the wizarding world and in our own world. They embrace her for her authenticity.
Exactly. And I think that's such a powerful message, especially, for young readers who are maybe struggling to find their own place in the world. I think Luna shows them that it's okay to be different. It's okay to embrace your quirks and to never apologize for who you are.
She's like a walking, talking permission slip to be your true self. Even if that means, believing in crumplehorn snorkax or wearing radish earrings to a Quidditch match.
Right. Exactly. And that really ties into another layer of her symbolism, which is the importance of open-mindedness and acceptance. I mean, Luna, she doesn't judge people based on their appearances or their beliefs. She sees the good in everyone, even those who might seem unlovable or even dangerous.
Yeah.
Like how she interacts with the Thestrals,
Yeah.
which most people find quite frightening. But Luna sees their beauty and she understands their sadness, and she just approaches the world with this incredible sense of empathy and curiosity, always willing to see things from a different perspective.
And that's such a valuable lesson for all of us. I mean, especially in a world that feels increasingly divided these days, I think. Luna reminds us of the importance of bridging that gap between us and them. And she shows us that. Embracing diversity, both in terms of perspectives and individuals, it can lead to greater understanding and connection. It's like she's the embodiment of the Ravenclaw spirit, valuing knowledge and creativity and originality above all else. But she takes it a step further by really demonstrating how those qualities can be used to make the world a kinder and more accepting place.
Beautifully said. And I think that's ultimately what makes Luna Lovegood such an enduring and inspiring character. She's not just this quirky addition to the Harry Potter universe. She's a reminder that true strength, it comes from embracing our individuality, celebrating our differences, and approaching the world with a sense of wonder and compassion.
It's like she's whispering to each of us, saying, don't be afraid to be yourself. Embrace your weirdness. The world needs your unique magic.
I love that. And on that note, I think it's probably time to wrap up this deep dive. But I have a feeling the conversation about Luna Lovegood will continue long after we've stopped recording.
I think you're right. There's always more to uncover and more to unpack with this wonderfully complex character. But for now, we'll leave our listeners with a moment to reflect on everything we've talked about today and maybe consider how they can embrace their own inner Luna. Who knows? Maybe they'll find a little magic along the way.
That's a wonderful thought to end on. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the extraordinary world of Luna Lovegood. Until next time, keep your minds open, your hearts kind, and your spectra specs firmly in place.